Hi, I'm Natalia.
And I'm Jacob. Welcome to Gem Say Diversity, a podcast where we talk about diversity and inclusion here in the Miami Valley.
This is a Youth Speaks episode. These episodes are planned, created, and recorded by youth.
So today we're going to be talking about race, and Natalia has a personal story that she would like to share with us.
So, I'm Puerto Rican. My mom was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and my dad was born here, so I'm 50% Puerto Rican. Growing up, I've had a few experiences where people would just make racist remarks to me. Usually I get this a lot, but when people, hear me speak Spanish or something like that, they're just like, oh, I didn't know that you're Hispanic or that you speak Spanish. You don't look Hispanic. And, it's yeah, people usually just get really surprised when they find out that I'm Hispanic. But yeah, so two different instances where people have been racist. I clearly remember one was in English class at school, and I was helping one of my friends with her Spanish homework, and we were, practicing. I was helping her sound out, the words and everything. And this one guy who sat at my table just straight up told me, oh, don't get deported. And, at that moment, I was really, I was surprised, right? Because it's nobody has really ever said that to me, don't get deported. It really kind of caught me off guard in the moment. But I tried to stay calm. I tried to not be, too harsh, as really, I was mad in the moment, but, I calmly said hey, that's not something that you joke around about. It's not funny, and I'm Puerto Rican, and so there's no way that I could, be deported. Puerto Rico is Commonwealth of the United States, and besides, I was born here. I'm a citizen of the United States, so is my family. And I feel that just kind of shows how important education is on race and all of that, because education is key. If not, then people can be very insensitive about what they say. Yeah, so that's one experience. The other was also in school, also by a guy, and someone had asked me oh, you speak Spanish, right? You should say something to me in Spanish, help me practice. And I was okay. And so I started saying stuff hola, me llamo Natalia, whatever. And I kind of forget what happened, but this person said something really funny, and so we were both laughing, right? And then this guy says oh, I thought you were speaking in Spanish, don't laugh like a Mexican. And I was so taken aback, I was what gives you the right to say that to me? If you knew anything about my life, you would know that I'm Puerto Rican, and and I'm so proud to be Puerto Rican. It's really who I am, and it's what I identify with and all of that. So it's really important to me. And so when people make these remarks and racist comments, it's just really upsetting, and it kind of makes me reflect on, there's so many people in the world who aren't educated about race, and it's such an important topic that we need to normalize and talk about. Yeah, so those are my experiences.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I know as a white male here in the United States, I don't really think about race that much, or I haven't up until these past couple of years, where race has been a very sensitive topic here in our country. When I was first aware of race, I would have to say that was the death of George Floyd. I didn't really pay attention to political movements or these kinds of things in the past. and I ended up watching the video of former officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd, and at that moment I realized that I was much more lucky than any black male here in the U.S. There have been, I have friends that have been pulled over. They're white males, but to say the same thing to a black person being pulled over, they're two completely different situations. I have black friends that go to my school who might not make it if they get into a run-in with the cops, and it would be a safe run-in too, just a speeding violation. So I would say that was the first time that I had ever experienced race.
I really appreciate, you saying all of that, because it's it gives a voice, and I really like how you're, empathizing with everyone who are less fortunate. So, I mean, yeah, our country has been through a lot, the past few years with the tragic incident with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and countless others that, we are striving for justice. Like I said, we really need to talk about race and just highlight how important it is, because it's, not right, everything that happens just daily, even, from what happened to me in school, just those racist remarks, to the death of George Floyd. I mean, it's just something that, we have to do something about it.
Right, and I believe you said earlier education is key.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strong statement. Education allows for allies to be formed, to be shapen in light of others, and it also provides sort of like how we take history classes to learn from the past. Education allows us to learn from the past and our mistakes and to make up for them in a way. So thank you, Natalia, for having this conversation with me today about race.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing everything.
All right, so tune in next Thursday for the next Youth Speaks episode.